How are we doing today, fellas? Please give me a thumbs up in the chat. Make sure the audio is coming through clear. Welcome back, everyone. This is David Patrick Carey with Church of the Eternal Logos. And today, I want to talk to you about why people need to quit bitching and start benching. And we're going to be getting into why C.S. Lewis says every man needs a chest. So today is going to be a little bit different than previous streams. As you can see, okay, sorry about that. I had a little audio playing in the background. So what we're going to be getting into today is really something that I've been noticing, and I commented for those of you who follow me on Twitter, that is at eternal_logos. I made a comment about some of these ortho bros basically spending too much time bitching about the world, whether it be women, homosexuals, trannies, Western civilization in general, while they're behind an anime avatar looking like prepubescent boys with hair loss in their early 20s. That is a problem. That is a problem for our movement, and that's not helping us do what we're trying to do in regards to traditional civilization, moving people back towards traditional morality, exuding masculine qualities, embodying our traditions. So we're going to be getting into bitchy little ortho boys, is what I'm going to call them. And I'm sure it may step on some people's toes. Why we have to embody the masculinity present within our Christian civilization, our Christian tradition. And then we're going to get into more specifics. Okay, the chest. How do you build your chest? What does the chest symbolize? What does it represent? And then we're going to be getting into specific masculine qualities you and we all need to work on to embody. And this is a daily practice. This is not something you just do once and you have it. We have to do this over and over and over again. So we're going to be getting into that, and I'll give you guys some of my tidbits on how exactly I went about building a chest. How do you build a chest? So that's what we're going to be getting into today. Before we go any further, of course, if you guys are in a position and you would like to contribute what I'm trying to build here on Church of the Eternal Logos, of which is coming Logos Fitness, building temples to house the spirit. Soon I'm going to be producing videos on fitness, on men's fitness specifically, on how men build their body. And so if you want to support, I would recommend going to my website, davidpatrickcarey.com. churchoftheeternallogos.com goes to the same place, and potentially setting up a monthly recurring payment of just $5. That's all I ask. And that would go a very long way, and I would greatly appreciate that. So if you want to contribute, that is how I recommend being the best and most effective method, especially for just $5. So anyways, without further ado, now let's get into the video and what exactly it is I want to talk to you guys about. So the first thing is the quote. What is the C.S. Lewis quote that I'm referring to? And bam, here it is. We make men without chests and expect from them virtue and enterprise. We laugh at honor and are shocked. There should be only one O in there. Let me correct that. And then we are shocked to find traitors in our midst. We make men without chests and expect them virtue and enterprise. We laugh at honor and are shocked to find traitors in our midst. Now, clearly, C.S. Lewis isn't talking about everybody becoming bodybuilders and building the most massive chest you can have. And that's not what today's video is about either. Although we will be talking about how you go about doing that. But that's not the point of the video. The video is, what does a chest represent? And what is C.S. Lewis meaning when he's talking about men without chests? And so we're going to be getting into this. And then in that second half of the quote, we laugh at honor and are shocked to find traitors in our midst. That is going to be important, because one of the things that I got in a back and forth with one of these ortho boys hiding behind an anime avatar, posting anonymously online, is I said he agreed with some of my comments about prepubescent boys, how they don't embody the masculinity, and they want to comment about women and homosexuals and all this different stuff about Western civilization, while they themselves are not men. They themselves are not exuding the qualities that need to be exuded if we're going to be Orthodox Christian men that change and move culture or society in a different direction, in a more traditional direction, albeit. But I said, if you're not trying to attain the honor from other men, we're not on the same team. The point of the things that we do in the world, of gaining a skill set, becoming competent, finding our place in the world as men, is tied to attaining respect and honor from other men, specifically Christian men. And if you are living a life where you don't give a damn about, having respect or honor or these more traditional values, we aren't on the same team. That is what we should be trying to do. And so I wanted to highlight that. And so we're going to be coming back to this quote multiple times in this stream. But I think the best place to start is describing what I made a comment about as regards to these bitchy little ortho boys. And I don't mean to offend anybody or step on anybody's toes. Most of my experience with a lot of the Orthodox guys, Piano, I think he's here, multiple gentlemen that I've met in person, Dyer, Dr. Deacon, Father Deacon, Dr. Ananias, exude masculine qualities. And so in a way, this is having a chest. We're going to get further into that. But what I'm noticing online, and I even brought this up in regards to some of the groypers, is I'm seeing a lot of people hiding behind the masculinity within traditional forms of Christianity, so more traditional forms of Catholicism, but of course Orthodoxy itself, using the tradition of posting anonymously online and using the tradition as really their only form of masculinity. Because if you were to look at them, they physically embody very little of the characteristics we would associate as masculine. And so this is what I'm calling bitchy little ortho boys, is that we have to become conscientious about this, and we have to move towards a more masculinized appearance, the way we present ourselves. And so I told this one individual who said, well, I agree with you, but there's nothing. I was talking about neoteny, and again, you've heard me say this word 1,000 times. This is just a biological term regarding to retaining juvenile characteristics into adulthood, and how anime or becoming an anonymous anime avatar online is really a failure to embody one's own masculinity, that you should be who you are online. Now, it's fine if you want a thumbnail of some art, or it's a design or something like this, but to post anonymously online, and I know some of you guys do, and that's fine. Some of you need to, maybe, but given your jobs or your school, depending on where you go to school, but that's not going to attain the respect from other men. And so doing things anonymously and then critiquing culture from a masculinized position within Christianity, that is really a sort of a failure to embody the full thing that we got to be doing here. And so the first thing that I want to say, as I already mentioned, is hiding behind masculinized forms of Christianity. We talk about the patriarchy. We've talked about how this is the central pillar of the phallogocentrism that the progressive left, the whatever you want to call them, the communists, the socialists, that they want to destroy. They want to take down the patriarchy, the privileging of sort of the masculine principle in Western civilization. Now, I've talked to you as well as it's the masculine principle that defines boundaries. And so as Western civilization has become more and more and more feminized, what has happened? Boundaries dissolve. Male and female no longer are distinct categories, right? There's infinite genders. We now move to performative gender theory, where it's a linguistic performance that I can dress up and look however I want to look, and therefore I can become that gender. Now, that only exists in a society that's already been feminized, in a society that doesn't have the men to uphold the boundaries. And so this is exactly why we as Orthodox, we don't have female clergy, because it's men who define boundaries. It's men who defend the borders of a country. It's men who defend tradition. It's men who defend families. It's men, and we have to embody these things. We can't exude a bunch of feminine qualities by bitching online all the time, and then when we want to talk about other people or even criticize more competent men, like that's not going to work. That's not going to work at all. In fact, you're doing the exact opposite. So, just wanted to get that out there. So the first one is quit bitching about women, homos, and trannies until you yourself are a man. And that does not mean you have to be a bodybuilder. That does not mean you have to be some machismo, over masculinized individual. Not at all. Not at all. Some of the greatest individuals that I've met within Orthodoxy, like, well, I won't say their names just in case. I don't know if they want me to or not. But there's multiple Orthodox men who going to work every day. They're still part of our community. They have families. They have beautiful children. They're providing for their wives. They're doing exactly what we need to do. That is a man. Doesn't matter if he goes to the gym. Doesn't matter if he's building his chest physically or not. That is having a chest. That is having a presence. And we're going to get into, again, the symbology of pushing exercises, right? Building a chest is done from doing pushing exercises. Pushing is going to be a resistance to the world. Again, we're in a fallen world. So we're going to tie all these different things together here in a second. But the prepubescent boys, so if you're 20-something, again, you're posting anonymously online behind anime avatars and you're already losing your hair in your 20s, that's because you have extremely low testosterone. And so you need to begin doing more masculine things. Lifting heavy weights is one way in which your body will begin to build or produce natural testosterone. So we've had Dr. Mo on here multiple times. He is an expert in men's health. He is an expert on testosterone. So he's talked about the foods we eat. He's talked about all the estrogen and the hormones in the water. We have to become more conscientious about this. We have to think about this. Like if we are, Pano had a wonderful, and Pano, maybe if you can go back and find your comment on how we are the somatic cells of the church as the laity. Therefore, we need to take care of our bodies because, again, somatic processes, that has to do with physical processes. We have to do, like, it's on the laity. We have to become men. And so prepubescent boys, hair loss in your 20s, it's totally symbolic of the absence of testosterone. And that is what we need more than anything. And so eating more meat, this is why Primal Edge Health and his discussions on the carnivore diet, again, Jay Dyer, Father Deacon, Dr. Ananias on the carnivore diet, these are great ways to boost natural testosterone levels. We have to do that. Also, not masturbating all the time. Great way to slowly produce natural testosterone levels. Okay? And therefore, with all this stuff, we have to actively try to become better and better men. This isn't a single process. This isn't you go to the gym or maybe you get big or something like that and now you've reached it. No, every single day is a struggle. Every single day we have to become better and better Christian men. And so this is something that we all have to keep in mind of what we're doing. Again, hiding behind masculinized Christianity. No, we ourselves have to embody that masculinized Christianity. And every day we have to get a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit closer. And, again, Christ himself gave us, an archetype of, in a way, what does it mean to be a man? Well, he's a carpenter, building families, building your body, building your career, building your skill set, building your knowledge base, building your mind. All this stuff, Christ is a builder. We have to take on that archetype, is that it's on you and me and us and this community and those that we can trust to build. We have to build. And that includes your chest, as we'll get to in a bit. Okay, let me take a breather real quick. Another way to boost some natural testosterone levels is drink black coffee. Quit putting so much sugar in your coffee. Drink black coffee. It's a great way. There's multiple papers that came out in regards to the benefits of coffee, um, how caffeine can be detrimental to your system. It can be even poisonous when it's intaken through different methods. However, when you ingest coffee, which is filled with caffeine, black, it actually has all these beneficial side effects. One of them helps boost natural testosterone and lower estrogen. Lower estrogen. But if you're filling your coffee up with a bunch of sugar, you're gonna negate the positive benefits you could be receiving by drinking black coffee. Yeah, maybe it's a little bitter. Maybe you like espresso. That's fine. Drink your espresso. You got an espresso machine. But drink your coffee black. Boost the T levels. Okay. So, the next thing I wanted to say in regards to some of the bitchy ortho boys is we need to be masculine Christian icons onto each other. And that I fall short all the time when I see a Father Josiah Trenum, when I see, the various fathers that are posting on Twitter or on social media. They help me become a better Christian man. They help me become a better icon. They are icons unto me. And so we have to think about everybody we encounter, our families. Maybe they don't agree with us theologically. Maybe they don't understand all this Orthodox stuff. Whatever it is, we have to become icons unto each other. This is essential. So I just want to say that we have to become icons unto each other. Therefore, honor amongst men should be sought after. And again, not to a degree in which we become too prideful, because pride is the mother of all sin, as most of us already know. Pride is the mother of all sin. And even getting into physicality and really taking care of your body, you can become overly prideful. This is something we have to watch out for. But also on the flip side, I saw an Orthodox priest actually talk about how physical fitness, taking care of your body and getting fit and strong is actually a method of asceticism. Because to do that, you have to not take in certain foods. You have to not indulge into certain habits and certain appetites. And so that is really a form of asceticism. And so just as Piana was saying in regards to being the sort of somatic, the body cells of the church, right, where the monks have a different role. The priest, the clergy, they have a different role. The laity, our role is to kind of be in the world. We have to be a little bit more worldly, and that's fine. So that is just something that I want to say, is that honor then is something you and we should be pursuing. And I have some masculine characteristics that I want to talk about at the end in regards to, well, then how do you go about attaining honor from other men? And so we're going to be hitting on competency, competition, integrity, self-respect, strength, courage, leadership. I'm going to speak more about those topics here in a few. But honor, especially amongst other Christian men, this is something that you and I and all of us need to not in an overly prideful way, but in regards to embodying the characteristics that we need to embody. That honor itself, from a theological perspective within Orthodoxy, honor itself is an uncreated energy. Honor itself is an uncreated energy. So to live a life in which you're basically neglecting that portion of your own masculinity and your own identity, you're not even participating in the full energetic processes of Christ, of the Logos, of God himself. You and we have to pursue honor to a degree, and we can do this in so many different ways, that in every single one of us has this opportunity. And getting that respect from other men, that is also going to get you respect from women, right? I mean, like, again, a lot of the way in which women look at men has to do with their social status, has to do with how other men react to them. This is why the incels, the gammas, the betas, they have such problem with women, is because they don't even have the respect from other men. So of course women aren't going to respect them. And then that leads to the, again, hiding behind the masculinized Christianity, always bitching about women. It's like, dude, you're not even a man that those women are looking for. So I done a stream earlier on how the difficulties of dating, which is certainly the truth, and it's true, I think, for women and men right now, because there's just so few of us that are actually willing to alter our lives and pursue traditional values. So yes, dating is very difficult right now, but if you're not even, like, you have to think what kind of woman you want. So we see these really skinny, bitchy little guys online talking about women all the time. And then it's like, well, the women that you say you want, why in the hell would they want you? Why would they want you? Like, come on, man. You have to become what they're looking for. And you can do that by embodying more traditional forms of masculinity, by looking for ways in which you can become more competent. Stop complaining. I see Goose Abuse say that. Yeah, just stop complaining, period. Exactly. And it's not that there is in it, and that was the other thing that I wanted to say. It's not that Western civilization doesn't deserve massive criticism right now. Of course it does. It absolutely does. However, if you're not going about embodying the values in which our enemies are trying to destroy, what good are you? You're just a woman with a penis bitching online, basically. Like, stop. Embody the characteristics. I see Athlete X is pretty solid, except he uses fake weights, so there's a big controversy with Athlete X. I actually don't. He has some good advice, but he uses fake weights online. I know this is a side note. Some people have no idea what we're talking about. I just saw it in the comments. But honor is something that we need to become conscientious of, and actually, as men, want to pursue and gain from other men. And we can do one of those. Again, I have a whole list of characteristics that I think will provide people with a basis on how you would get that honor from other men, especially Christian men, right? We don't need the honor from, a bunch of degenerate people. We just need the honor of people that we already respect, right? We already respect. And so the other thing I have to say is, without becoming men, how can we resist what we criticize? So if we're online and we're criticizing women, we're criticizing homosexuals, we're criticizing transsexuals, we're criticizing Western civilization, and even, we could get more sophisticated, presuppositional levels, this or that. If you're not embodying the masculine characteristics that are being destroyed right now, and you're just bitching about it, how are you helping anything? The only way that we stop it, like if you said nothing online, period, at all, and then you embody these values, you found a woman who respected you because other men respect you, because you're competent, because you have skills, because you have integrity, because you're a real, you're a provider, you're an individual, you're self-sufficient. Well, that would go way further in really what we're advocating for, you and I and all of us that are really trying to take this seriously. It would go so much further if we embody the values instead of bitch about the criticisms, even though the criticisms are legit. They're absolutely legit. And that's not a question. So it's not that we disagree on what's being criticized. We actually agree on that. What we're disagreeing on is how you're living your life and how you're embodying and how you're going about actually changing what's going on. So, as I said, we have to embody the values and characteristics of our tradition, and then embodying that which our enemies hate. Our enemies hate, guys. That's exactly what's going on, right? All this stuff has to do with the feminization of our society, with the feminization of Christianity. This is what the whole Protestant degeneracy is going on. Again, the love is love stuff. This is all a feminization. Men then look more feminine, and that's where we're going to get back to how you build your chest. So I have a couple directions I could go here. I think we're going to go to a more specific discussion on the actual chest now. So again, for those of you who have just joined, please smash that like button. Would greatly appreciate that. Always helps with the algorithm. And I will pull up that quote again. So the quote that we began with is from C.S. Lewis, and it is, "We make men without chests and expect from them virtue and enterprise. We laugh at honor and are shocked to find traitors in our midst." We laugh at honor and are shocked to find traitors in our midst. So, the chest. Why the chest? What does the chest symbolize? What is the chest? And so I wanted to say that the first thing I look at as somebody who is very much into training, very much into, my routine is I go to the gym first thing in the morning before I eat, before I have breakfast. I'll have black coffee, I'll have a protein, and I'll drink a liter of water usually, and then I'm off to the gym. And the first thing I look at in regards to a man's fitness is his chest. People they get so wrapped up in arm size. They get so wrapped up in abs. Guys, anybody can have abs. Abs are diet. Some people are born really skinny, and so they don't work out at all. They eat a bunch of junk food and they still have abs. Well, that doesn't mean they're in shape. That doesn't mean they're in strong. It doesn't mean anything. So those are not good indicators of one's physical fitness. However, when you look at a man's chest, it is a very good indicator of their physical fitness because it's so difficult to build, especially the upper chest. And so I will get into actually how you build your upper chest. This is something that I began in 2020 because I realized, again, getting more serious about my physique, getting more serious about my fitness. This was really at the end of 2019. It's when I started to take my diet seriously. And then finding the ideal physique that I want to build towards, I realized, geez, I have no chest. I have no upper chest. And so for basically all of 2020, this has been my goal, is to build a real chest. And so if you guys want to see, again, some of you guys follow me on Instagram, and if you want to see more of the sort of personal photos and stuff in my life, it's at DPHARRY. And so like here is a photo of me the other day on chest day. And so you'll see that crease of what I'm trying to do, and that's why I've been trying to get in great shape, because I want to do Logos Fitness, building temples to house the spirit. I want to talk about men's fitness. I want to do, show my training splits. I want to show you what I do, and it's not that everybody needs to build the same physique that I have, but it's about learning how to go about building your body, because your body, the pushing back immediate reward for long-term reward, like you do with physical fitness, is the same thing as reading, guys. Reading theology, reading philosophy, learning about our tradition. It's the same thing. It's just it's one physical, one is very mental. And so again, as Orthodox men, I think a great way in which we can differentiate ourselves as a movement is to collapse, again, right? Our theology is all about collapsing dialectics. Why don't we collapse the dialectic between brain and brawn, where those go together, right? Brain and brawn are one and the same thing. And so this is the type of stuff that I've shared over on my Instagram. This is one of my morning workouts. This is chest, arms and back. You can see, again, I'm taking my diet seriously. I'm trying to build my body, getting that bicep peak there. And you can see I've been really trying to widen my back, build my lats up, again, because I want to be in nice shape when you guys see me with my shirt off, when you guys see me training, because I want to, again, embody everything I talk about. This isn't a game. I'm not trying to fool anybody. So when I get on here and I rant and rave about something, a complex philosophical topic for an hour or 2 hours, I can't fake that. And I can't fake my body either. So first thing, last week was my birthday, 6 days ago, Tuesday. And what did I do? First thing I did on my birthday is go to the gym, and I did 12 sets of squats. And so here you see that little bar behind my foot. So some of you guys may be familiar. Again, you can do, there's such a variety of squats you can do. I'm really trying to build up my quads. That's why I took that photo. How do you build up well, one way I did about 5 sets of traditional squats. And then if you put your feet straight ahead, using one of those bars, you basically put that bar underneath the arches of your foot. You're going to have to do a lot less weight. And then you do a squat and go all the way down. And then you really flex those quads up. That is a great way to begin to build up those quads. And I feel like I could do a whole video on the symbology of building your legs, not skipping leg day, and being rooted in the world. Because those who avoid legs are probably avoiding a lot of different things in their lives that are difficult to do. And so don't avoid the difficult things. Run right at them. the most difficult things that you have to do in your life, maybe, like one of the things I hate doing is like dealing with insurance companies, student loans, all that stuff. And I put it off all the time. What I'm consciously trying to do, and again, just physically building your body is one way you do that, is to run right at the things that are most difficult to do. So that's that. And then little double bicep pose, front bicep. So again, I take this stuff fairly seriously. No, I don't take any gear. I got accused of some gear before, for just because, again, the only things that I take are amino acids and creatine. I do take creatine, and I just recently got a pump formula. So I don't know if some of you guys know what a pump formula is, but the pump formula. So the pump, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen. What's that documentary with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Iron something. Gosh, dang it! Some of you guys gotta post it in the comment section. I know you guys know it. Anyways, he talks about how he's getting a pump and he feels like he's coming in the gym. He's coming at night. Yeah. But the pump is actually how you build your muscle, because you have to flow blood to the muscle. That's what that whole pump experience is. And the muscle, all the nutrients that is flowing into that muscle, that is how you build it. So you can buy pump formula, for example, where you have increased vascularity when you go to the gym, so you can get more blood pumping iron. That's it, pumping iron. Thank you. So the Pumping Iron documentary, it's hilarious. It's great. I do recommend watching it. It's very entertaining. But the whole thing about the pump is getting blood into the muscle, because it's that blood that allows the muscle to grow. So that's why you would use pump formula. But I do not take any gear. And in fact, one of the things that I want to tell people, I had it on the very end actually of the video, but do not take any gear. And gear is just a sort of word used in the fitness community to talk about steroids, testosterone, hormones, any of that stuff. Because guys, if you do any of that without doctor supervision, you're going to permanently screw up your hormonal system. And you want to produce natural testosterone, like drinking black coffee here, like lifting heavy weights, you're going to screw all that up if you take anything. So do not take anything. And in fact, I would recommend, if you're going to take anything, contact Dr. Mo. Contact Dr. Mo. He is an expert on this stuff. This is what he went to school for. All right. So we talk about the first thing that I look at when I look at a men's physique in regards to how serious he takes his fitness is, does he have an upper chest? All of us are usually born with a sort of lower chest right through here, but to build the upper chest, that's a whole different deal. And that's all about incline press, which again, I'm going to get into what I consider some of the best workouts to build your upper chest at the end. But I want to speak more generally in regards to what is symbolically represented by the chest, right? Using, again, I'll throw it back up there, C.S. Lewis's quote, "We make men without chests and expect from them virtue and enterprise. We laugh at honor and are shocked to find traitors in our midst." And what symbolizes Western civilization more than a bunch of people who are traitorous, who are narcissistic? It's all about themselves. I mean, look at our political system, right? I mean, so tell me, what politician is exuding the uncreated energy of honor, right? It's just a bunch of traitors. It's just a bunch of traitors that are out for themselves. So the chest, for example, is a pushing. The way you build it is through pushing exercises. And so what does pushing itself represent? It represents gaining one's space, right? Say you're in a conflict with somebody and you push them back, right? It's kind of getting somebody out of your face. It's establishing space. And so that quote there is also, I think, at a symbolic level, men without chest aren't going to establish their own presence in the world, right? And again, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to, C.S. Lewis wasn't talking about bodybuilders, so it's not like you have to have the most massive chest in the world, but the chest muscle is used to push. It's used to gain space. It's used to repel things away from you. And so as Christians, we live in a fallen world. How can we exude virtue if we're not pushing the world away from us? Which again, it kind of symbolically ties to one having a chest. A chest itself is also a very masculine aesthetic. So when you look at, if you go and look at a bunch of different fit guys, look at ones that are more lean, that have real nice six packs or this or that, versus ones that have more of a chest, smaller. Again, natural. I'm not talking about huge roided up guys. That's not what I'm referring to. But the aesthetic of a man having a chest is very masculine. And so there's a visual component to this as well in regards to the aesthetics of one having that dimension to their body, and including how difficult it is to build. Very, very, very few people are born with such great genetics that they already have an upper chest. I did not. I would assume most of you guys did not. So building the upper chest symbolizes then a bunch of different characteristics: persistence over time, dedication, hard work, always, because it's going to take probably a year for you to build an upper chest. So you have, because the goal, here's the actual aesthetic. So if you're going to be looking at one's chest, the thickness of the top to the bottom should all be the same thickness. That is the ideal aesthetic. And so again, I certainly wasn't born like that. Most people don't have a chest like that. But that's what your goal should be if you're actually trying to build your chest, is that the top part of your chest, the thickness of it, should be the same all the way down. And we're going to get into pressing exercises, build thickness, and then fly exercises, build the width. So you need to do both those things. But another thing related to having a chest is you actually have to be more mature physically. So, you're not going to be able to be prepubescent or even to be 16, 17 years old. It'd be really hard to have an upper chest because of the testosterone it takes, the time it takes. So you really actually have to mature in one's physique to have a chest itself, which is another very interesting thing about it. Again, tying back to our quote, "We make men without chests and expect from them virtue and enterprise. We laugh at honor and are shocked to find traitors in our midst." So the commitment over time, the physical, the mature component of actually having one. And then it's a pushing exercise. It's creating space. It's establishing one's presence in the world. And it's so difficult to build, guys. Some people are born with great quads. Some people have great calves. Calves are usually, that's very genetic. You either have calves or you don't. It's very difficult to build those. Some people have great arms. Building big arms comes really easy, but very, very few people have a chest that's already it's already built or has upper muscle from the get-go. So again, very difficult to build. So that's what I wanted to talk about. That, and then the last thing, I forgot this point, is that name one feminine man that has a big chest. You can't find a feminine man who has a big chest, because the whole, what do they call them? Like a tink or whatever. I forget what the name is for these, whatever. But almost, that's why they're so skinny, right? They're so skinny. They're like rails. They're like string green beans or something, Feminine men don't have chests. And so feminine men aren't going to be exuding virtue or building an enterprise, right? Building your business, guys. That is a masculine characteristic. That takes persistence. That takes courage. That takes one's own confidence. A twink, yeah. That takes one's own confidence to actually establish one's presence in the world, right? If you're going to build a business, again, what I was talking about symbolically with the chest is, creating space, establishing your presence. That's also true with building a business. Doesn't mean you have to, again, be a bodybuilder, but that same characteristic is there. And so that's the last thing I wanted to say in regards to that. Now, I have tips for building a chest, and then I have the masculine characteristics for quote unquote symbolically having a chest and how you attain that honor. So we can go in either direction. I don't know if you guys one or the other. Well, I guess since we're already talking about the physical chest, why don't I just refer to tips for building a chest? So the number one thing that guys don't do why they do chest workouts is everybody gets sore shoulders, right? Why are your shoulders sore every time you go for chest day? It's because you're not actually working your chest. When you go and do chest day, every single chest workout, you should be squeezing your shoulder blades as tight as you can. And that is what's going to allow all that pressure, all that weight to be focused on your chest. So if you're going, and also flat bench, straight bar bench press, not a good workout. So I'll mention what workouts I believe to be good, but when I go to the gym, I always see these guys who, again, have very little muscle development, and the first thing they do is go to the bench press. They throw on weight that is too much, right? They can only bench it maybe like 4 or 5 times, and they're arching their back super far, and they're throwing their shoulders out like this, right? How far? When you squeeze your shoulder blades back, your shoulders shouldn't go forward. It should be all on your chest, and so you have to squeeze the shoulder blades and then do the workout. Most people aren't squeezing their shoulder blades, and therefore they're going like this, and you're putting all that weight on your shoulders. No wonder your shoulders hurt. No wonder they're tight. Like that, you're not even working the right muscle. This is the number one thing, is you have to squeeze your shoulder blades if you're doing any chest workout. Flat bench press, incline bench press, flies, whatever it is, you have to squeeze the shoulder blades. If you don't do that, you're really not even going to be working the chest muscles. So that's just FYI. So the other thing I want to say is that pressing builds thickness, flies build the width. And so if you look at, again, a chest, if you want to build the width of your chest, which then actually throws your shoulders back just by the way you stand regularly, you're going to get that from flies. Now you can do dumbbell flies, which I do recommend because that's going to help build your delts, right? So these shoulders muscles, that sort of cutness, let me turn here. So that cutness in your shoulder, you're going to get that by throwing, dumbbell flies around. That's going to really help build your shoulders. However, if you have bad shoulders, a way to get around that is to use cables, use cable flies. And so you can, get an adjustable stack. So you could get the handlebars on there. So the little handles, throw them up high, and then you can come through. You can bring them down through and down like this. And when you do flies, guys, in your mind, think about squeezing your elbows together. So it's not all your shoulders, because people, again, want to throw their shoulders forward. No, you got to pull your shoulders back and squeeze in your mind. Your elbows are going to touch. That's going to force you to work that chest muscle. So cables are great. And if your shoulders are kind of, again, some people just are genetically predisposed to having bad shoulders and they can't put a lot of weight on them. So cables, definitely recommend that. You're going to be able to get a great pump doing that. If you do have decent shoulders and you want to build up your shoulders, I recommend actually throwing dumbbells around. And so when I do presses, I do not do straight bar flat bench press, because if I'm trying to build my chest, that's one of the worst exercises to do. I mean, you can work the chest doing that, but there's so many other things that I can do instead. So for me, I almost do everything with dumbbells, because the dumbbells are going to even out my strength distribution. One of the things that people come in problems with when they use straight bar is that they have one arm stronger than the other. So they start struggling and it's like this or that. If you have dumbbells, over time, you're going to even out the strength distribution between your right and left arm through your right and left pec. So I recommend doing dumbbells. And I also do not recommend doing low reps. So if you are throwing weight around and you can only do it maybe 2-4 times, that's way too much weight. Because again, if you're trying to build the muscle, you have to get blood in there. And to get blood means you need to get a pump. And the best way to get a pump is to do reps between 8 and 12. So 8 and 12 reps. So find a weight, a working weight that you can do 8 to 12 reps. And again, make sure you're squeezing the shoulder blades. Squeeze the shoulder blades so your shoulders can't come forward, and then do it. You'll see a night and day difference. And that's how you're going to begin actually getting that blood into that chest and beginning to grow those muscles. So presses are going to build the thickness. Again, I was talking about how ideally you want the thickness of your chest to be the same all the way down. Whereas the width, because you could do that, because a lot of us are born just like I was, where your shoulders are going to be a little bit closer together like this because you don't have that chest muscle. So the flies are going to slowly work those shoulders back because your chest is going to expand bigger. And so it's all about the stretch and squeeze. I know it, and I'm very serious about this. Again, if you're doing the cables, this is why cables are so good, or you're doing pec deck, or even you're doing dumbbell flies. If you watch the documentary Pumping Iron, you're going to see Arnold go so far back with his dumbbells, because if you want to widen your chest, you want to stretch that muscle as far as you can. You want to stretch it, and then you want to squeeze it, and you want to squeeze it as tight as you can. And that stretch and squeeze is the process that gets that blood pumping into that muscle. And again, that's how you grow the muscle. So, how do you build in the upper chest? It's all about incline. For example, today, woke up in the morning, had my protein shake, drank my water, had my cup of coffee, went straight to the gym, and I hit all incline. So, some of you guys go to a gym, you have the adjustable bench. So I'll hit it at a 4. I'll do either, like today I did all 4 sets. So I did 4 sets of dumbbell press like this. Then I'll go the next one 3, 4 sets of dumbbell press like that. Then I'll go to 2, 4 sets of dumbbell press like that. Now I've done 12 sets of dumbbell press, all at an incline, just working that upper chest. And then when I use straight bar bench press, I'll do it only at an incline. Again, guys, squeeze the shoulder blades, because that's the problem with the incline is people don't like doing it. Well, it puts too much pressure on my shoulder, because you're not squeezing your shoulder blades back. Your shoulders are coming forward, and you're putting all that weight on your shoulders, guys. That's terrible for your shoulders, unless that's what you want to do, but that's what a shoulder press is for. And usually you're going to be doing a lot less weight than people would be doing when they're pressing with their chest. So if you want to build your upper chest, it's all about the incline. And one of the best exercises that I believe, again, I do flies incline, and then I'll do presses at incline. I'll even do straight bar bench press only at an incline, though. I haven't done flat bench press all year. Because again, you can do flat bench press with the dumbbells, and you can stretch the chest way further, because you can go past your actual chest, where if you have a straight bar, you're going to hit your chest. So that is what I recommend. But the best exercise, I believe, for hitting that upper chest is actually getting a incline bench, setting it at an incline. I like to do a little bit stiffer, so maybe like a 5, and then throw in the cables all the way to the ground and doing flies this way while you're sitting. And that is going, and so then when you're doing that, again, it's all about mind muscle connection. And this is the difficult part about building your chest too, because a lot of us, like for me, I didn't have an upper chest, so then thinking about squeezing it was actually very difficult. But that's what you want to do is, again, throw those shoulder blades back, and then think about touching your elbows when you go, and you're going to begin to feel that chest activate a little bit more. So the seated incline cable flies, I think, are one of the best exercises for your upper chest. So if you are going to the gym, I think every man should need to work that exercise in once in a while at least. I tend to throw it in just about every day, every time I do chest, because my splits, I just do one muscle group at a time. So like today was chest, so I do a bunch of presses, then I'll go do a bunch of flies, and that's basically it. So I'll hit chest for about an hour and a half, then I'll do back an hour and a half with deadlift. So whenever I do back day, that's deadlift day. Deadlifts are the first thing I do on back day, because deadlifts have to be in your workout routine. If you're not doing deadlifts, you're gonna have a weak frame. Deadlifts are essential. So I do those for on my back day, and then I have leg day, and then I'll incorporate arms usually within leg day. Or I'll do arm day separate, and I'll do ab day with that, where I do weighted ab exercises to build the thickness of the abs. Because this is a little secret, but if you don't have thick abdominal muscles, you're going to have to really diet a lot to get out a low percentage belly fat so your abdominal muscles can show. However, you could stay at a 9-10% body fat and look like you're super ripped because you've built the abdominal muscles up so they're nice and thick. So you can still have a layer of fat on your stomach, but it looks like you're shredded because the thickness of the muscles have been built up. That's a little tidbit secret. But another thing I wanted to say, tips for building a chest, is be careful arching your back. This is something that I always see people do, whether they're doing inclines or flat bench press. Usually it's flat bench press, but they just start arching their backs like this. And when you do that, that's going to change the angle. And now when you're going to be going like this, you're working the bottom of your chest, which you already have. So FYI, be very conscientious of that. And usually that's a sign of somebody using too much weight in the first place. Like, and this is what those, you don't want to ego lift. You don't want to ego lift just because maybe you see more muscular guys around you, or you don't want to be perceived as puny or small. Don't even get into that mindset. Do what you need to do and do a working weight between 8 to 12 reps and do it with perfect form. Don't go in there with a big ego or trying to compete with other guys that maybe have been working out more. I see this all the time, is the ego lifting, is guys want to throw weight around that their bodies can't throw around. And that's the easiest way to get hurt. And it happens to so many people. So, the other thing that I want to say is eat immediately after you lift. So if you go and you have a nice workout, you have about a 15 to 20 minute window that you should be throwing down some calories. Whatever that is, maybe, whatever your diet is, that's a whole nother discussion in regards to various diets you could be on. But when you go to the gym, especially if you're trying to build your chest, make sure you're eating 15 to 20 minutes right after you lift, because that is when those muscles are just they're taking in everything. That's why your creatine, your amino acids, all this stuff, it's always recommended to take right after you work out or while you're working out or something of that sort. So just keep that in mind. And then and then the last thing I said is do not take gear. As I've already said, do not take steroids. Do not take anything, guys. What I've already seen it in people that I know who they haven't even spent the time to build up their body naturally, and they're already talking about taking stuff that is going to damage their body irreversibly. Like, it's one thing if you're 40 something, it's one thing if you're in your 40s or your 50s, but if you're in your 20s or your 30s and you haven't even built your body up and you're already talking about taking something, terrible. Do not do that, guys. Like, just do what you can do. Like, figure out what your genetic potential is. Spend a year to 2 years deciding, okay, here is the aesthetic I want, because we all have different aesthetics, right? The perfect aesthetic that I want, if you guys search Mike Thurston, MikeThurston, he is the sort of classic physique that I want. It's the small waist, very wide shoulders, wide chest, and then nice fit legs, but I don't want huge quads or anything like that. So that's why it's important to figure out what is your goal and then to work towards that goal. So figure out what your aesthetic is. Give yourself a year to 2 years to figure out what your genetic potential is. If you get on a good diet and you get on a consistent schedule, guys, you can look like, again, a lot of these people who are on stuff won't even look as good as you just from being consistent, eating right, and then putting in the work. So, I would even be careful with SARMs, man. Like, why? That still messes with your hormonal system. Like you have to be knowledgeable about this stuff. And you know, that's why I don't take anything besides creatine. Creatine is probably the most intense thing that I take. And as long as you drink enough water, creatine isn't going to be a big deal for you. But anyways, guys, for those of you who have just joined, please smash that like button if you can. I would greatly appreciate that. So, yeah. So what I have to say is, number one thing about building your chest is always squeeze your shoulder blades together. If you don't, you're going to put too much pressure on your shoulders, and your shoulders going to wear out before your chest wears out. The presses are what builds the thickness. The flies are what builds the width. The upper chest is what's all important. When you do incline, you're already working your lower chest. This is why I hardly do flat stuff anyways, is do inclines, incline presses, incline flies. All that stuff is going to help build your chest. And be careful about arching your back, because as soon as you arch your back for something, one, you may be using too much weight. That's usually a good sign. And two, you're now totally changing the angle that you're working. And so you may be on an incline press and then you arch your back so much that you're really just using the bottom of your pec. Like you got to be conscientious. So use lower weight and try to have perfect form. That's going to go so much further, guys. Again, the rep range that I work at, 8 to 12 reps. 8 to 12 reps. So, the reason I like dumbbells, again, I told you I like dumbbell presses way more than I like straight bar presses. You get a fuller range of motion. You equalize the strength between the arms, and you can't cheat the same way. And all that weight is directly on those muscles. So if you're squeezing your chest, you're doing an incline press with dumbbells, all that weight is right there on your chest. Right? It's not distributed across a whole straight bar, even though you can incorporate straight bar workouts. You just have to be more conscientious about it. And so straight bar, flat bench press is not the most effective way to build your chest, guys. That's so old school. It's powerlifting, which is, maybe you guys are into powerlifting. I'm more into bodybuilding myself. I got injured doing powerlifting. I talked about this in one of the Orthodox lifting groups that we're in on Twitter. That it was about 3 years ago. I was kind of into powerlifting and was squatting and totally blew out one of my hamstrings. And that was so painful. And it took so long to come back. You basically have to rebuild your leg back. So powerlifting is fun, but it puts so much pressure on your joints. That's why all these guys are getting back surgeries in their 40s and 50s. Yeah, you may think it's more cool or more masculine to throw all this weight around, do these 1 rep deadlifts or 1 rep squats. You can do that. I'm interested in maintaining a physique that I can build on and control all the way up to being 60 years old. I want to be in the gym at 60 years old looking great. So I'm into more doing lighter weight, higher reps, and building the muscles. And then eat immediately after you work out. You have a 15-20 minute window. Cables are great if you have bad shoulders, and do not take gear. Okay, so that was my tips on actually building a chest. Now, how do you attain that honor from other men? So I wrote down, again, this isn't comprehensive. This is just what I wrote down. Sitting here thinking, okay, masculine characteristics, what do men respect in other men? And so the number one thing that I came up with that men respect in other men is competency. Are you competent at whatever you do? Incompetent people, especially incompetent men, receive scorn from other men. And so if whatever it is that your skill is, even your job, your work, are you competent? Competency is key. And so having skill and being confident is an easy way to earn the respect of other men. This is a way in which you, quote unquote, have a chest. Jay Dyer doing his theological stuff, he exudes all the qualities that I'm talking about, not because he goes to the gym and he's building his actual chest. He may, I have no idea, but he's so competent at what he does That is a masculine characteristic, and that earns the respect of other people. So competency is the first thing. If you want to earn the respect of other men, become competent at what you do. And so that can be anything. I was just using Jay because everybody knows who Jay Dyer is. And so I was trying to use a different example, all you guys know who he is, of how, quote unquote, having a chest would be. And so his competency leads into the next characteristic that I think is tied to competency and is also another very masculine characteristic, is competition. And so Jay willing to debate, Jay willing to go toe-to-toe with people, Jay willing to battle in the battle of ideas. This is all sort of competition, and this is respected by men. This is why then we have the whole ball culture in America, you know, the football, the basketball, the baseball, which has all been compromised. And that was the whole point, right? Our society's been so feminized that we can't even watch sports, where usually that's a more masculine thing, and that's usually where men spend maybe, you know, they want to relax after a long day's work, so they watch sports. All this stuff has been feminized now with BLM, LGBTQ stuff. I mean, I can't even watch the NBA. I've totally given up on the NBA and the NFL so far this year. Maybe I'll watch some college sports. I used to love watching that stuff, especially my Indiana Pacers, my Indianapolis Colts. But I can't do it anymore. I can't watch all this face mask crap. Like, it's so irrational. I can't do it. It's so stupid. So, just wanted to say that. So competency, and I think competency leads into the second one of competition. These are two masculine characteristics that are ways in which you can earn the respect of other men. So that's why men love sports, is that you can be whoever it is, right? It doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter what you believe, but if you can perform in a competition, which then it already implies that you're competent and you're skilled at whatever you do, that is an easy way to earn the respect. But it doesn't have to be with sports, guys. You know, competition can just lead to a sort of meritocratic psychology, or phronema, if we're going to use the Greek Orthodox word, a sort of meritocratic mindset in the way that you approach whatever it is you do. Maybe you do art. Maybe you do music. Maybe you do crafts. Maybe you build tools. Maybe you're a construction guy. Whatever it is, competency, and then realizing that everything is essentially a competition. Me right now doing this stream is a competition. I'm trying to earn your guys' attention out of everything that exists. Netflix, Hulu, you know, cable TV, other YouTube channels, whatever it is. I'm competing with all those different things to earn your guys' attention. That there's a sort of competition there. And I take that competition and I will earn your guys' respect by being competent in every video that you guys want, or at least I try to be. Maybe I'm not, but at least I try to be. The third one that I have is integrity. This is another great way to earn the respect of other individuals. So integrity and your word being your bond is essential. Everything you say carries a lot more weight. And so this is something that I have a friend that this is his biggest problem. This is his biggest problem. And, if he sees this video, he knows I'd be talking about him, but one of the biggest problems of working with him, doing any projects together, is his word is never his bond. And so it is the easiest way to lose the respect of other men is if you can't follow through with the things that you say you can do, or if you say you're going to be somewhere, be there. If you say you're going to do something, do it. And every time you do that, every time your actions match up with your words gain more and more and more power. They hold more and more weight. And that is a beautiful thing. That is a way, again, which you as a man are exuding more masculinity, gaining the honor and respect of more men in the world. Match your words with your action every single time. And so integrity, I think, is, integrity is tied to your morality. Integrity is tied to your ethics. Integrity is tied to all these different things. And so when you're an integral individual, you will earn the respect of other people. So for me, this is a big one. And this is actually something that, again, you don't want to be too prideful, but I do pride myself on is in my real life. If I say I'm going to do something, I want to do it. That way, in the future, if I say I'm going to do something, it holds more weight. So the fourth one that I have in regards to earning the respect of other people is to have self-respect. Is to have self-respect for yourself. If you don't have self-respect for you, nobody's going to respect you anyways. And so the way in which you speak, the way in which you dress, the way in which you hold yourself, just standing there, and then of course your physical appearance, your physical presence, even the way you keep your body, these are all indicators of the way in which you respect yourself. And how much do you respect yourself is going to determine how much other people are going to end up respecting you, because all that stuff takes effort. And so think about it. And this is what was tied to, in the video description, I said how we have to become conscientious of transitioning our appearance from being boys to men. This, I think, is a very important thing. This is one of the reasons why I go out of my way to wear a suit jacket or a tie or a vest or dress nice when I get in front of you, because in my mind, I want to be a professional. I want you guys to see me as a professional. Of course, today was about fitness and all that stuff. That's why I wore this. But it demonstrates a sort of self-respect. It demonstrates a sort of psychological feedback loop. And so all of us, when we go out into the world, just dress nicer and see how other people treat you differently. So this is just something to keep in mind. Doesn't mean that, again, you need to become overly materialistic and wrapped up in the world and all. No. That's not. That's like taking it way too far. Like, I feel like I always get these guys that send me emails. I say one thing online, and they take it to the craziest degree. Saying, this is, it's like, guys, you can dress nice without being extremely narcissistic and overly prideful. Like, you can do both. There's a balance there. And so that's what I'm trying to say about the self-respect. The way you dress, become more conscientious about it. Jim Bob, made by Jim Bob. I've seen some of his more recent live streams, and he always talks about being impeccable, meaning, in other words, being very conscientious about the way you look and the way you dress and how you match and again, how people are going to view you. The way you speak, the way you speak is really important. The tonation, the clarity, the assertiveness. These are another ways in which you can demonstrate a sort of self-respect and then in turn get respect from other men. The way you hold yourself, right? You don't want to be shy and bashful or stuff like this. You want to, hold yourself in a serious way. Again, and that's tied to our quote from C.S. Lewis, really, is that we make men without chest and expect them virtue and enterprise. We laugh at honor and are shocked to find traitors in our midst. That hold yourself with a sort of presence. Hold yourself with a chest. Again, it goes way beyond like bodybuilding and all this stuff. And then, of course, then actually work on your body, work on your physique, have a goal that you're trying to work towards, because if you're taking the time to eat properly and taking the time to work on your body, clearly you respect yourself. And that is going to demand respect from other people who aren't doing those things and clearly don't respect themselves. So these are easy ways that you can do that. So the fifth one that I have is strength. So of course it's tied to the body and all this stuff, but strength is one of the most obvious masculine characteristics there are, right? The softness of women, just the bodies, right? If you touch a very feminine woman, usually she's very soft and supple, and there's something so attractive about that. Just the way that then they touch you, just the softness. Whereas a man, that strong presence and having both physical strength, but strength goes way beyond just physical strength. That sort of stoic characteristic, right, of having emotional strength, right? You can't cry at every little thing. You can't be in an emotional whirlwind when anything goes wrong in your life. You have to be strong. And so strength, yes, physical strength, but I think physical strength is going to aid in your emotional strength and your spiritual strength. All these things are forms of strength. All these ways are masculine characteristics. All these things are going to help you gain the honor and respect of other individuals. So strength, like I said, it's one of the most obvious vehicles of masculinity. And so not just thinking physically, but thinking emotionally and spiritually, building strength within ourselves. The sixth characteristic that I have is courage. And this, I think, ties back then to my critique of the anime avatar anonymous shit poster online wanting to criticize everything while they themselves exude or embody zero masculine characteristics, is have the courage to enter the world and be who you are. Put your name behind your words. Put a face behind what you're saying online. Put your neck out there. Have a little courage. Be an individual or a person. Again, we talk about the more specific and subtle distinctions between individuality and personhood. At a theological level, that's another conversation. But have courage. If you don't have the courage to put your name behind your words, how are you going to have the courage to fight what we're up against? Are you serious? How are you going to have the courage to fight what we're up against if you can't even put your name behind what you're doing in the world, right? So have some courage. And so all these things lead then to the seventh characteristic, the final characteristic that I wrote down, and the most important characteristic, but you can't have this characteristic without all the other ones. So you can't have what I'm getting ready to say without competency, without competition, without integrity, without self-respect, without strength, and without courage. And that last characteristic is leadership. That is a masculine characteristic. And you are, leaders are decisive, resilient, and assertive. And so these are things, again, we can slowly embody within ourselves in our daily activities. But being a leader doesn't necessarily you're going to be a general. You're not going to lead a bunch of men into battle or this or that. But leadership is going to be essential for you to lead your family. That's the goal of all this stuff, is for you and I to have families, to have wives, to have children. And how are we going to lead them if we're not competent? If we don't have integrity, if we don't have self-respect in ourselves, if we aren't strong, who's going to be the strength of the family? If it's not the father, if it's not you guys, if it's not me, it's all of us. And who's going to be there to be the courageous one? Who's going to be there to have the courage to protect, to have the courage to provide, to put the weight of the family on their own shoulders? It has to be us. So leadership is the seventh one. Leadership, in my opinion, is the most important one, but you can't have that one without all the other characteristics, because if you're going to get into men and being a leader of men, men aren't going to follow you if you're not competent. Men aren't going to follow you if they don't see that you are better than the other option. So a sense of competition, a meritocracy. Men aren't going to follow you if there's not integrity. If your word means nothing, you're not going to be a leader. If you don't have self-respect, you're not going to be a leader. And then if you don't exude strength and courage, why would any other man follow you? And so those things are essential. And so I end that list with saying this: without embodying these characteristics or these qualities, how can we recognize them in others? And so in a way, we can recognize them in others. So there is a sort of play there, because we can recognize them in others and then try to build them within ourselves. But I think if we're not trying to build them in ourselves, again, being that better Christian man day after day after day, then we aren't going to recognize them when we see them. And so we have to embody these qualities so then we can recognize them. And then by embodying them, guys, we are icons unto others. And that was one of my big points, is that we have to do for everybody. So that concludes my stream today on Quit Bitchin', Start Benching. Why Every Man Needs a Chest. And so I will check out the super chats now. And guys, if you haven't, please smash that like button. Would greatly appreciate it. So let me look at the super. Oh, we got some super chats. Existential Delight. Oh, my man Dylan. We actually have a podcast coming out together. I guess it will be tomorrow. So if you guys are interested, check out Existential Delight. He is Catholic, so I know for some of the ortho bros, tread lightly, but and be kind. But he is also, like me, like so many others, moved out of the sort of New Age, spiritual, not religious, even the psychedelic stuff, and found Christianity, found Christ, found the truth. And his girlfriend, I think they're not married yet, or they just got married, or they're going to get married. So I apologize, Dylan. I'm not sure the status of you and your loved one, if you guys are engaged, girlfriend, boyfriend, or married, but he is doing all the right things, and we have a great conversation that will be coming out, and I'll actually be sharing it on this channel. So for those of you who want, you will see the whole thing on this channel. But it's a really good conversation. And he says, struggle is manhood. Agreed. And he said, keep up the good work, brother. Well, thank you very much, Dylan. I really appreciate that. Existential Delight. If you guys are interested, check out his channel. Doorman360, great ortho bro. Thank you so much, brother. He threw in $5 and says, apparently some Orthodox monastic traditions advocate the monk engage in physical labor to stay in shape. It is an aspect of asceticism. No girls to woo. Absolutely. Doorman360, great point. And yeah, that was something that I saw recently, was a Orthodox priest talking to, it was the laity, but he was talking to men and women about taking a sort of serious approach to your physicality, to your body, is Orthodox, and it is a way of asceticism. Now, again, you have to be careful about being overly prideful. We all have to do that really in everything we do. Even if your thing is knowing a lot of knowledge or reading a lot of books, you still have to be careful about being overly prideful, right? But the ascetic nature of really taking seriously your physicality means you don't engage in certain appetites, you're pushing out certain foods, you're doing this or that, and that resistance, that discipline is a form of asceticism. And so I saw a spiritual father, I believe it was in Russia, advocate people to take their bodies very seriously. So Philip Edenhorn throws in 100 SEK. I'm not exactly positive what that currency is, but thank you very much, brother. I greatly appreciate that. And he says, found you through Jay. Just want to thank you for your work. What is the best way to bring someone out of the New Age movement? God bless you, from Sweden. Oh, it's Swedish money. Wow. Best way to bring somebody out of the New Age movement. Well, it depends on where they're at. If they are more of an intellectual, more of a thinker, I think there's a real chance of moving them out of the New Age movement by sort of philosophical and theological engagement, dialogue, looking at the internal contradictions, looking at, the New Age who believe that God is the universe or something. You can begin to show them the sort of internal contradiction, how, well, as soon as you go there, you can no longer account for creation itself, because now God is tied to the universe. The universe has a beginning point. Or they can go back to the sort of Greek philosophical position of, well, creation is eternal. And so whether you're Aristotle or Plato, they both had that assumption because of their presupposition. So we don't, as Christians, we don't live in a paradigm where creation is eternal. Clearly, the only thing that is eternal, true eternality, true infinity, is going to be tied to Christ, the Trinity, God the Father, the Holy Spirit. This is where eternality comes from. This is true infinity. And so creation is always going to be limited. Creation will always have a beginning point. Creation will always have an ending point then. So our worldview is a little bit different. If you're trying to engage somebody in the New Age movement, it's going to be a little bit difficult. I have a video trying to debunk the pineal gland and the third eye. Again, using science, using their own sort of methodology, using critiques of Hinduism, sort of pagan worldview, stuff like that. That, I think, is, again, it depends, because if you're talking to, again, I assume maybe it's a buddy, because it's going to be more, if it's a female, it's going to be a little bit more difficult getting them out of the New Age movement, because usually it's rooted in a sort of emotionalism. So it's going to be difficult to get somebody out of a worldview where that whole worldview makes them feel better. So if you can say, well, love is love, morality is relative, it's a social construct, that I like the way that I feel. It's all about vibes, right? It's all about vibes. And they feel that, they can really get away, again, talk about the universe as being God or the goddess or Gaia, right? Getting into the Gaian concept of stuff with James Lovelock and Earth and Mother Nature. It's going to be really hard because they have to want to at least engage in what is true to get them out of that worldview. If it is a guy, maybe more logical, centered dialogue would be the way to go. So debunking, so the New Age is really going to be wrapped up in a sort of pantheistic worldview. So maybe one approach would be to debunk pantheism, the idea that God is nature, because as Christians, again, we have that absolute distinction between creator and creation. So that's not going to fly in our worldview. Maybe that would be a good place to start. Maybe if they're New Age, they're probably going to be perennialistic. So then using the critique that, well, if you believe all religions lead to the same mountaintop, what epistemology, what reference to truth, what framework for knowledge are you using to say that? Because you can't be using a Hindu epistemology. You can't be using a Taoist Chinese epistemology. You can't be using a Native American epistemology. What epistemology you're not using a Christian epistemology? That's an exclusive epistemology. So what are you using to even say that? That may lead them into more critical thinking and say, oh, okay, well, geez, that assumption of perennialism leads to relativism, and therefore I really can't make a truth claim at all, or I'd have to appeal to something different. And that's why logos spermaticos, I don't know if you've heard me talk about that idea created by Justin Martyr, one of the saints in the Orthodox Church. I think he may be a saint in the Catholic Church, I'm not sure. But him and his apologies, highly recommend reading those if you haven't. Talks a lot about logos, and this concept of logos spermaticos is that they're sperms of logos. They're sperms of a single epistemology, Christ, in all the different world religions, but they're not true. Only one religion is true. Nate Armstrong said, get them to read Nihilism by Father Seraphim Rose. That is a good recommendation. So this book right here, Nihilism by Father Seraphim Rose. This is a good book. I also like this one too. Maybe they would like this, Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future. This one, though, if they're already antagonistic to Christianity, they're not going to like some of his arguments because they're not going to be open to the validity of Christianity. I think for the Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future, they're going to have to really be open to the validity of Christianity first for that book to really resonate with them. But the Nihilism book, they can start from anywhere. So they can start from, that's a great recommendation, Nate. They can start from the New Age. They can start from atheism. They can start from wherever they want to start from. And that book is going to challenge their worldview. So great reference, Nate. I do recommend Nihilism, The Root of the Revolution and the Modern Age. Sorry, gosh, I really rambled on that question. Doorman360 threw in $5 more. Thank you very much, brother. And he says, your word is the one thing no one can take away from you. Never be the boy who cried wolf. Those who can't keep their word are suspect. Zero tolerance. Great point, man. Great comment. Exactly. That's what I was trying to talk about. Integrity. Make sure your words match your action. This is one of the best ways to get the respect of other men, is have integrity and have your word match your action. And in fact, guys, think about how that is also being made in the image. God made the world through his word, through the logos, speaking the world into existence. What is more of an action and linguistic phenomenon than literally what God did, right? Spoke it into existence. Action and sort of articulation occur at the exact same moment. Now, again, we have a bit of a delay being in time, so we need to do that same thing. Our words and our actions have to match. That's also called telling the truth. And so being truthful, being having real integrity, these are essential, guys. And I'm telling you, if you start to do that, start to embody that, you will get respect from other people. That is the goal. And so thank you very, very much, Doorman360, for another $5. Really, really appreciate that, brother. Josh threw in $5 and he says, this year was bad for me. I'm the biggest I've ever been, trying to lose the weight, and I find it actually pretty difficult. Well, Josh, it comes down to how determined are you really to get where you want to go? Because clearly not doing it is trumping doing it. And so one of the best things that I recommend is to do it slowly. So for me, knowing how I change the things that I do, I'm an incremental person. So for example, me getting up and going to the gym in the morning, I began with, because usually I do it like right in the middle of the day, or I did it in the evening, and I noticed, geez, I was taking so much time and I didn't feel like I was as productive during the day. So I began at 11 o'clock. The next day I got to the gym at 10:30, next day at 10 o'clock, next day at 9:30, next day at 9. And so just doing increments is, I found, a very effective way to make real change in your life. So if you're having trouble, I would say, first of all, the diet is essential. So if you are the biggest you've ever been, it's probably because your diet. Because if you are eating really healthy and you still weren't working out, that doesn't necessarily mean you'd be big. So I would definitely be watching your diet. How many carbs are you taking? How many empty calories are you taking? How much meat are you eating? I'm sure you're Orthodox. I'm sure you're fasting. So you're gonna have to be conscientious about that. But I would say upping your protein intake, especially as a man, is going to be essential, because testosterone is essential for burning a lot of that fat. So if you are low testosterone, not saying that you are, I have no idea what you look like or your living situation, but if you are low testosterone, it's going to be much, much more difficult to burn that excess weight. So watching the sugar, I would say this is the number one thing, is cut out sugar. Just cut it out of your life as much as you can, and maybe engage with it once. Like, for example, I love banana cream pie and coconut cream pie. I love those things. But just cutting sugar out of my diet, it took me probably about a month and a half, 2 months to lose the craving, because sugar has such an intense cravings in people. And so once really your sort of gut biome changes, you lose that craving. It's really, really beneficial. And that was what I had to do to lose my belly fat. I was eating good. I was going to the gym. I still had belly fat. What I did was just cut out sugar, and all of a sudden I started to lose all that stuff that my body was holding on to. So I would say the biggest thing is the sugar, and then making incremental changes, getting to the gym, beginning to lift a little bit of weight, because the weights are going to, again, boost natural testosterone, which then is going to aid in getting that fat off even quicker and easier. So thank you very much for the $5. Yeah, so I would say that cut the sugar out, and then make incremental changes in your diet and your fitness, and boost those testosterone levels. So next super chat. Oh, Daniel E threw in $4.99, and he says, "Gee." Well, thank you very much. I assume he appreciated this. Oh, he has another one down here. It says, well, I'll just read that one too. It's Daniel E, same person, $1.99, says, "Great stream." He was probably trying to say "great stream," accidentally sent it. Well, thank you very much, Daniel E. I really appreciate it. Again, I really appreciate your super chats. And I'm really glad that you found the stream useful, potentially insightful, and you enjoyed it. So thank you very much again for your super chats. Thank you, Daniel E. Eugen, our good ortho bro, running things over on Telegram, threw in £5. He says, "Looking forward to the podcast, King. God bless you. What will it be about?" It is. So the podcast with Existential Delight, it's actually about being in the sort of psychedelic scene. So it's all about psychedelics and getting out of psychedelics, finding Christ, how that changed our lives, finding meaning, understanding the real spiritual battle that we're in. And so a lot of really insightful stuff that we cover in that podcast. Again, you'd have to ask him. He mentioned it was going to be out today or tomorrow, so I assume it's going to be out tomorrow. And if it is, I will go ahead and I'll download that and share it on this channel as well. But yeah, it's mostly about being caught up in psychedelic culture and how we got out of that and found Christ. That is really the whole point of the podcast. So I do think you'll like it. It's again, he's a smart guy, and it was a very insightful conversation we had. So Philip Edenhorn threw in another 50 Swedish currency. Again, I don't know what the SEK stands for. I know that's Swedish now because that's where you're at. He says, "It is for my younger brothers. Thanks a lot for your comprehensive answer." Well, thank you, brother. I'm glad that you enjoyed my response. It was you said something that actually means a lot to me because I was caught up in the New Age. I was caught up in the spiritual, not religious, and the psychedelic stuff. So, and again, I really appreciate your super chat, brother, and I hope you're able to again get your brothers out of that worldview, and and God willing, that occurs. Praying for them will certainly help, and potentially again, I don't know your situation, but being icons onto them in regards to traditional masculine Christianity, that may be another way. If you being an older brother, I'm sure they look up to you. I'm sure they respect what you have to say. So maybe just the way in which you live your life moving forward could potentially be the greatest sort of apologetics and evangelical tool to them. I'm not sure. So just want to throw that out there. Looking back, Eugen says, awesome. Sounds cool, man. Looking forward to it. Thanks for the Instagram follow, by the way, Pat. Started an account today. I decided it was time to expand the Orthodox ministry of propaganda. Yeah. I saw that and saw that you followed me, so I went ahead and followed back. But if you guys are interested, again, I post a lot more of sort of my life, photos with family, my workouts, stuff like that. If you're interested in that, feel free to check me out over on Instagram. So again, my handle is @DPHARRY, and I can grab that actual link here if you want. Here is that link. If you guys are on Instagram and you'd like to see what I'm doing over there, feel free to follow me. Again, it's a lot more personal stuff over there. I usually share after a day or so our streams over here so people can check them out. But that's really, if anybody doesn't have any more questions, that's really all I had planned for today. Again, if you guys appreciate, I'm sure some of you guys got my newsletter. So today was the first day of the Church of the Eternal Logos newsletter, and I sent out the list of all the philosophical and theological terms that I did on a stream. What was that? Maybe a couple weeks ago. It was like on important theological and philosophical terms. So all those terms I put in a email that was all sent out today to the 80 various people on the newsletter list, on the emailing list. If you'd like to be put on the emailing list for the future, go to my website, davidpatrickcarey.com, churchoftheeternallogos.com, goes to the same place. And if you just wait for about 20 seconds, it will pop up, and all you have to do is put in your email, say that you want to be included, and you will be added to my email list where I'm going to start sending out more exclusive bits of information, links, stories, stuff like that, where it's just for the people who've signed up for the emailing list, so they get a little bit something special. They get something that, maybe those who just engage with the live streams once in a while or this or that, they're not going to have. So if you want to be included on that, go to the website, davidpatrickcarey.com, churchoftheeternallogos.com. Just wait for about 20 seconds and a window will pop up. If you appreciate what I'm trying to do and you want to know of the best way to support, the most effective way, for just $5, I would ask you go to my website and click the donate button in the top right corner and just set up a monthly recurring payment of $5. If you're in a position to set up something more, I greatly appreciate that, but I'm just asking $5 will go a long way, and you'll automatically get a website membership, which is coming along very nicely. I spoke with our ortho bro who's building out my live stream off my own server and everything. We are progressing. And my buddy Blake, we are going to have our video library up very soon. So that video library, I'm going to go ahead and produce some content. I'll make some videos, probably the not live stream ones, but the ones where I actually put the camera up front in my ring light, like the older ones when I was just posting, like I just upload a video and post it. And I'm going to probably make 2 or 3 that will only be available to the website members for $5 or more. So anybody who's already signed up, you'll automatically get a membership account. I just got to put in that plug-in. I got to make the videos. I got to get all that stuff, find where I'm going to embed the link at, all that. So all that stuff trying to be taken care of as well. And I will have that absolutely soon. So that is really all I have to say. Oh, Prism said, you may have already addressed this, but do you have tips on how to navigate fasting with weightlifting? I don't have personal advice regarding that. So my priest, I spoke with a couple of the fellow Orthodox bros. My priest as a catechumen, and I've been a catechumen for a minute now. COVID screwed up everything. I was going to be chrismated on Easter, on Pascha. Anyways, he tells us, the catechumens at the church, to not fast, because when you begin fasting, you are essentially indicating you are participating in the spiritual warfare, and that if you are not receiving the Eucharist, that he has seen in his own life, that this has led to a lot of people end up not joining the church, bad things happening to them, various, maybe they have various temptations or addictions, and things tend to come back with a fury. And so he has recommended to, if we want to engage in maybe a fast, we can do it slowly. He says, do it 1 day a week if you want to, but he doesn't necessarily encourage it until you're able to take the Eucharist, because he believes the Eucharist is what gives you the strength to withstand the slings and arrows, if you will, in the spiritual battle. So I haven't, and that's why I've used this time in 2020 with COVID and everything to really hop on the carnivore diet, eat as much steak and meat as I can, build up my body the way that I want. So then when I do fast, at least I'm in a position where I'm more of a maintaining than trying to build. But that I do plan on getting to there in the future. So when I start fasting, I will then be very vocal and talk about what I'm doing to try to get around that stuff. Thoughts on Rich Piana? Well, I thought he gave some pretty solid advice, although I don't recommend I would never want to look like he did. I would never want to take all the steroids and stuff like that. Again, he had some drug problems and stuff like that, but he seemed like a fairly decent guy, but he also had a lot of demons, so it is what it is. Traditional Man says, I'm building a bigger chest. Make sure you really hit the middle part and upper to get that proper bulk and shape. Trust me. Yeah. Traditional Man, that's what we were talking about in regards to incline. Do tons and tons of incline. Base Philosophy Mom said, I've never heard that about the fasting thing. Yeah. I've heard it. Some people have told me, well, that seems like a bit Western. Some people have said, well, that sounds about right. So I'm not sure. I just know that's what my spiritual father has told me. That is the church that I'm in. And so I've used this time to try to put on as much muscle as I want and build my body the way that I'm trying to. So that's just what I've done. So maybe I don't know. Maybe this isn't very orthodox. Maybe I don't know. That's just what I've been told. So that's just where I'm at. Somebody said, Takeshi says, very interesting approach to fasting indeed. That's why we should speak to our spiritual fathers first. And Takeshi says, thanks, Kono. Well, thank you guys. Again, I will leave it there. Thank you all for joining for another, hopefully, if I did it well, an insightful live stream talking about why we need to stop bitching and start benching, in a way of building our bodies, both physically but also symbolically, and what that represents, embodying the masculine characteristics within our Christian tradition. And that way we can actually be the soldiers and the warriors that will change culture and move things in the right direction. So again, thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Please smash that like button. And if you want to contribute, please check out my website and potentially set up a $5 monthly recurring payment. That is all I ask. Again, thank you, everybody. I always appreciate the love and support.